Hi everybody, Jillian here. Welcome back to my channel for a new Bible journaling process video. I'm taking a break from the watercolor series today because I had to order a supply that I needed for the video and it didn't come in time, so I will go ahead and postpone that video until next Wednesday. Be sure to check back for that. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and do another entry from the Free to Flourish devotional from Illustrated Faith and Dayspring. So I'm just going to show you really quickly what I'm working with and then get started. So I'm working with the kit. So this stamp set from the kit, which has all these great florals in it. Kit comes in a pouch like this. I've got an unboxing video that I'll go ahead and link if you guys want to check out what all is in here. I've got some washi tape and then the stamp backer, which has some cut-aparts. In addition to the kit, I'm going to go ahead and use these alphabet stamps that are from Michaels, their Recollections brand. I'll go ahead and link them in the description below. I got a lot of questions about it when I used them last time. I pulled out some word-fetty stickers here and some labels. I like to use these as a finishing touch on the entry when I remember that I have them on the side of my desk. And then the last thing, and perhaps the second most important after my Bible, is the actual devotional. So I'm going to do day 9, Free to Forgive. Not really sure what I'm going to do design-wise, but I know what I want the title, I guess, to be, and what I want to journal next to this verse in Proverbs 10:12. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on fast forward and I'll get started. I also wanted to mention I pulled a couple things from my stash, including this black crisscross washi tape, new from Illustrated Faith, and then some acrylic paints also from my stash. Sometimes I get asked about how I pick colors, and when I'm not trying to color match from a kit, I usually just look through my paint box and certain colors jump out at me, or they happen to be, next to each other in the box because they're in no particular order, and, I see like a color combination of 3 or 4 and think, oh, that looks really good together, and so I go ahead and isolate them on my desk and keep them together so that I remember to use them. For those of you who may be new to my channel or just starting out, I'm pointing out here I'm going to use my roller date stamp, the black pigment ink from Illustrated Faith, and an acrylic block, which you will need to use with the clear stamps. That's how you pick them up and stamp them down. So I'm going to use the card swiping technique to get paint down on this page, and I am using just an old AAA card that I happen to have. Illustrated Faith actually makes cards for this purpose, but you can use anything that you have on hand. Theirs are certainly prettier, but I just use what I had handy, and I am layering the paint on top of each other using less paint or less of the next color that I use. So I put down a big swipe of pink and then a little bit of peach, and I'm going in here now with just a little bit of orange. I realized that the orange I had pulled was a little too dark for how I wanted it to look, so I went back into my paint box and pulled a lighter orange, and I like how that looks much better. I'm blotting some of the excess paint here. I will go in with my heat tool once it's done and help speed up the drying process, but I found that just using a white rag really helps pick up some of the excess paint from the page. Now it was looking a little too dark for me, so I decided to use some white acrylic paint and layer that over some of the color I had put down. Then I'm going to use this really pretty aqua color and put that where I want to draw leaves. Now, I've done this before on my channel, and for this entry I'm actually using a technique that Shauna had shown on the Illustrated Faith Instagram, and I think on their YouTube channel you can watch how she did it, but that really inspired this entry also, at least this portion of it. So now you can see I put the white down and then I went back in with the exact same color. So you can layer it way more, way less than what I did if you choose this technique, but just whatever looks good to you. And I just give you guys a quick flip there to show you there's absolutely no bleed through from the acrylic paint. Maybe just what paint leaks onto the back, if that makes sense, or happens to make its way onto the back of the page. It's really all that's ever on the reverse when I use acrylic paint. Next, I'm going to go in with the large floral stamp here, and I'm going to stamp it around the page 4 times. And I really like the way that it framed the page. I did that when I put the paint down. I kind of kept in mind that I like to stamp things off of the edge, and it's just going to create a really nice frame around the page for what I'm going to stamp down in my journaling and just the entry itself. Next, I'm going to go in with the smaller floral stamp and stamp that around the larger flowers. Now, I had previously created a mask with the large floral stamp, so all I did was take some white scrap paper and I stamped down a large floral on that and then fussy cut it. So I just cut out this stamped image really close to the black line. So you can see what I'm doing here is laying the mask over the original image and then stamping on top of that with the smaller floral. So when you mask stamps this way, it looks as if the second stamp that you put down is actually behind the first image that you stamped. I hope that makes sense. I feel like it's easier to see than to have someone explain to you. So if you have any questions about how that works, leave me a comment below. I had to practice some serious restraint with this little branch stamp because I wanted to stamp it at least 3 more times on the page. But I was thinking less is more today. Next, I'm going to underline the verse. I am in Proverbs 10, verse 12. And, next I'm going to go ahead and draw some leaves. This was a little nerve-wracking for me to do on camera. I am not an illustrator. I don't like to draw. I don't think I'm very good at drawing. I felt like leaves were okay, like I could fake it enough to draw some leaves. They're not my favorite, but I really don't get hung up on that because that's certainly not the first thing that you're going to see when you're looking at this entry. It's going to be, you know, the journaling and the like stamped title that I'm going to put down, so I didn't sweat it. Next, I'm going to go ahead and cut out this flag from the cut apart, and I'm going to use that as a tab. So I like to put some adhesive on the bottom half of that where I know it's going to make contact with the page, and then I'm going to reinforce it with a little washi tape. So I'm using this black crisscross washi tape from Illustrated Faith and just put that along the bottom. I've never run out of a roll of washi tape, and I think I could very easily use this entire roll. So now what I'm doing is I want to spell out the phrase mercy does not equal weakness. And so when you're using stamps, it's helpful to kind of like put some of them down to see the scale of them on the page, how much room they're going to take up, and I wanted to position it a little lower. Like my first instinct was to position the words lower than I ended up, but then I would have had this weird like trap space at the top and wouldn't have had anything to put up there. So I actually moved the stamping up, and I'm so glad that I did that. I'm not going to make you watch me stamp out every single letter, but I basically am just stamping out here, mercy does not equal weakness. And so I got that straight out of the devotional from Becca. She says, we've been conditioned to think that mercy equates weakness. And I'll go ahead and read the verse to you guys right now. It says, hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers all wrongs. And I'm just journaling here. God gives us grace undeserved and asks us to extend the same. Forgiveness frees us to live out from under the crushing weight of offense. Let them go and give Jesus permission to do something amazing with the space. And so I basically am just paraphrasing what Becca wrote in the devotional. And another verse that she had given for this, but I knew I didn't have room in that part of my Bible, was Ephesians 4:32, where it says, and be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ forgave you. Well, we're being instructed to live in this countercultural way, and it doesn't make sense to our flesh or the rest of the world, but God gives us grace undeserved and asks us to do the same. So now I'm looking at the word fetty here. That's really all I have room for at the bottom of the entry, and I ended up taking the phrase, let it go, give it to God, and putting that underneath my handwriting. Sometimes I find that it's helpful to start with the bottom stickers or the last sticker so that you can kind of determine how much space you have. And I'm going to go ahead and outline that with the smaller of the 2 Illustrated Faith pens. I'm going to put some more washi tape on the bottom just to echo that in some of this blank space here, and then I'm going to stamp the date on top of that. Next, I'm going to take my big brush pen from Faber-Castell and put in some polka dots. The stamp set has a little polka dot cluster, but I just decided to save some time. I would use a marker and put those around the page. And that's it. Here is a finished look at the page along with a couple of close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. I've linked the unboxing video for this kit if you're interested in checking that out. And I'll see you next Wednesday with a new Bible journaling process video. See you then.